Alrighty. Okay, a little bit quicker. Alright, so I'm going to move you over here. So what you got to do is have your object in your scene. So what I did is I just went over here where you see favorites and you have all models, and I just pulled the sphere and dragged it up in. I'll delete it and just show you all the steps. So I just drag it up in here, and you can set the object here in your files to already have all this. But let's say you're using more than one texture on the same object in the same scene. This would probably be the better way to do it. So you come over here and you have materials in your mesh renderer, and you'll have a default diffuse element 0. You can create elements here, I think. Well, I know you can. I just got to remember what you have to click to do it. But you come down here and default diffuse, and you can open it. And this will show all the materials that are currently created. And so you can click these, and so now I've applied this texture to it. And you can adjust tiling over here, and you can also change it from like a diffuse to like a detail map, or you can decide, is this layer of the material, because if you can add these layers somehow, and you can decide, is it going to have a bump map? Oh, bump diffuse, this is what you need to do. So now I take this, I just select, I come over here, except this particular one doesn't have a bump map, but I could use this colored, it would be bad, but I could use the colored one as a bump map. And I mean, this looks terrible because it wasn't designed to be on this object, and this object wasn't mapped. But I mean, that's pretty much the extent of applying textures to stuff. It gets a little bit tricky if your object is segmented. Like, it's one thing if you have a single, if the whole object is using one texture map, that's really easy, but it can get a little bit tricky. I think, if I remember correctly, this element 0, these elements are actually the segments on the model, and since there's only one mesh, you know what, we can test this theory. Let's pick a character, we'll pick one of these characters here where it's more likely that he has segments, and although I think they still built him in, yeah, they still built him in one mesh, but let's see if we can't look at his, wow, he is an ugly motherfucker. Let's see if we can't look at his textures. It looks like they've got, this is the animation, which is not what I want. I would like to see the animations, please. No, don't be a dick. This might not be a good one because I can't. It has been a long time, and they've updated stuff since the last time I used it too. Okay, let's pick this guy. Are you in segments? You're all why are you animated, asses? What the fuck? Apparently this guy's animated. Don't know. Apparently I can't, cameras. Ooh, look at that. He was playing the whole time. By the way, in case you hadn't figured out, this is how you can actually play test your scene without going like full screen or setting things up. If you have scripting and everything set up to play in your level, you can hit play and actually play it within the window, or watch it play out in this case, except the camera. Our camera was like way the fuck over here somewhere, so we couldn't see him. But I can't, they don't appear, they appear to either, they build all their meshes, because you can still see that they only have one element, and to my knowledge, that's what that is, that's the elements and stuff. Well, this is hero, so this is probably his object file right here, actually. It's thinking. I might have broke it. Let's see if I broke it. Did I break it? What's going on here? Let's put him in here. That might have... nope, that didn't appear. Oh, God. Oh, God. I opened up motion blur. Not what I wanted to do. Well, I have a lot more stuff in mine because I have probably a lot more plugins than you do installed. Um, like none of this stuff that's currently in mine is stuff I've created, and apparently I've just opened Motion Builder, so we're gonna have to. Oh, that's all kinds of bad. Well, this shows you how they've set their character up, so that's fascinating. Um, he is indeed one solid model, it appears to be, which is one way to handle things. In Unity, it's actually a lot easier to handle your characters as single objects rather than segmented models. And Jedi Academy, we have segmented models, and the characters have to be segmented to work properly. And when the engine allows for individual materials on the same model, um, multiple materials on the same model, that's good. But it tends to not work so well in some of these more simple engines. Now, if I'm right, and again, it's been a long time since I've used this and I've changed things, then that element thing that we're seeing over here is representing each segment of the model, and we can't really test that theory since there's, well, only one segment in this mesh. It's just one object. And it doesn't appear that any of these use... Oh, yes, perfect. The tree. Now, I can't select it as separate things, but I believe, based on this, since they have branches, these are the leaves and these are the materials, and you can see that these are the separate materials down here. It shows all the materials listed. That this is probably, even though it's one solid segment, it's been broken up into elements. That's what... Okay, I got it. I know I sound crazy, but I'm not stupid. I promise. The way this works is, I don't know how you do it in Maya, but in 3ds Max, you can actually, even though you have one model, and it's only in one segment, you can highlight a selection of faces and detach that into an element where it stays in that same mesh and it stays in that same segment, but you can treat it completely differently when you're selecting or when you're applying materials, and it'll like select separately. And so it must remember that. Now, how you would do that in Maya, although most of the people we know work in Max, how you would do that in Maya, I'm not sure. I do know Maya really well, but usually if I want to do stuff like elements, I jump back and forth between the two programs, which is a rarity for a lot of people. Yeah, because see, it's still built in one segment. We have polysurface 1, so it's built in one segment, so they've broken up into elements that way. But that is pretty much that. And within these materials, you have the settings like you can see here, they have an alpha map applied. More than likely that's because this is a TGA. I could go rooting around in this, but I really don't want... Go. Get down. Get out from behind the bar there. What the fuck? Where'd it go? Oh, God. I don't know what I did with it. Anyway, that's not really important. So you have all that nonsense. But they've created... This is a TGA. Yeah, see, it wasn't even fully... Oh, okay. It was actually, that's probably where you want it. It's about right there. But you can adjust how much the alpha is actually used, because more than likely the alpha was kind of behind the leaves too. But unless you had a mesh for your branch and then you had the leaves as another mesh, that would be a bad idea. So let me come back here and fix this back the way it was, so I'm not breaking things. You can also adjust like the lighting inside the material, like how much illumination it gets from itself. I think is the way I understand that. And the ambient occlusion kind of just affects the lighting too. Direct occlusion, again, all these are pretty much lighting. You can add more stuff to these, I think. I'm probably lying. That's not what that is. That's to add physics and shit. Edit. So you can do these in like shader files and encoding files, but I suspect it's particularly not fun. I've never done it, and I suspect I'm going to regret clicking the file. I also don't know what I'm about to open. It's going to end up being like some terrible, terrible nightmare. Oh God, what is this? Ah, this is some part of Unity. This is new. Oh, this is like their programming screen. That explains. I'm going to close this because this is the devil. All right. Well, that pretty much covers your materials. Next, what do you want? What do you want now? We could look at the character controller, but like really all that is, since let me see if I can find a pre-made terrain so that we don't end up with like craziness or something. That's grass. Let's see if I can just add terrain or something. Because create other. There. Oh, right here in front of my face. Create terrain. Okay. I've created it, but I don't know where it. Oh, I saw it. Where was it? I saw it. There it is. There it is. Found it. Oh, it's under the camera. There we go. Okay, cool. Well, actually, that's the camera. We would actually like that. Okay, so see what the camera, we're going to go ahead and pretend that this is our play camera, the camera that the player is going to see through. And we're going to, you know what? It might be easier if we change our window mode here. So I can remember how to do that. Layouts, right up here. Windows layouts, and we're going to do a 4-split. Okay, because this, fuck me, this is our terrain, but the camera is not over the terrain, which could prove detrimental. So we're going to move this over here. We probably won't need that because, if I'm not mistaken, the character controller, since you said you added the plugin like I have, the character controller comes with its own camera attached to it. Now you have first person and third person. In the case of the first person controller, it's a fucking cylinder because I should be able to just add this in and automatically play. I'm not certain. Oh yeah, here we go. It's in this window down here. So I am in fact walking. You probably can't see it on your screen, but I'm fairly certain I'm walking. It looks kind of like the tag. Yeah, because I can see all this is moving. So I am in fact moving, but it's really hard to distinguish. And actually, if I could, hang on a second, if I can click out of this window and zoom in on it, we'll see it move. Come on, let's zoom in, shall we? Any day now. Because it's just a little bitty dot, and while I can see it, I have a feeling you can't see it through the stream screen. So, okay, so yeah, you can see we didn't even need that other camera that I moved because it comes with a camera attached to it. And in the case of a first-person game, the odds of you having a character model, unless you're talking a multiplayer game, is slim to none. So we're back over here in this window now. And we can see when I am hitting my control keys, which in this case, you can actually use arrow keys or WASD, which is always lovely, and move it around. And then, hang on a second. Let's go ahead and just stop that for right now. And then, instead of that, we'll delete the first person one. Okay, and so now we have a third person one, which means this one, I have a feeling they have got animation set up to play when you run around. So now we have it, and we're going to hit play. So that, well, now he's playing automatically, which is fine, but they don't have him set to an idle animation, which is bad. But you can see down here, my camera's secured behind him, and when I hit the buttons, he runs around, and you can see him running around over here, and you can see where the camera is in relation to him. I keep pointing at the screen, but then I realize my webcam's not watching me, so you don't see it. So I'm feeling kind of stupid now. The things with the animations, like this is where they have it set. It's just a single animation that plays. They don't have it set to really fade into a sidestep animation or anything like that. So you can't really strafe. He just kind of does this shit down here. So it's not super effective, and you wouldn't want to use this in a final product. But most of the animation, as far as the animation playing, that part, I don't have a lot of experience with how they set it up. I have a feeling that it is done through scripting, apparently it does have animation. Okay. So in this case, this is their script. So you do, in fact, have a idle animation. It apparently was missing. So we're going to, which means they probably had multiple controls that I didn't realize were there. I just kind of assumed it didn't have them. So let's go ahead and put these in place. And you may not have some of these because you may have a different controller plugin than I do. I don't know for sure that you have the same except when I do, but I think there's more than one on the file. Okay, so now we have an idle animation, which is kind of cool. It still doesn't really have a good smooth turn. That wouldn't really be good for a final product, but it does have this. The camera is an auto-oriental camera, which I don't even think that's a word. I think I just made up a word. But basically it means he's, as you can see, whenever I stop controlling him, the camera orients to behind him, which personally I would find kind of annoying. But we can run around with him now where he walks. His transitional animations aren't that great. Again, if this was something like UDK allows in your character controller files, it allows you to create sort of blending sequences, and I'm sure you can do it here. It kind of looks like there might be some settings like that over here, and you can probably adjust the script. This would just be a good base script to work off of. I suspect Shift is the button I have set to a run button. So now he can run, and he's run off that little screen up here, so we have to watch him down here. I suspect I'll fall off the terrain if I keep running this way. But, it seems pretty smooth. He doesn't appear to have any kind of crouch buttons. Oh god, I made that go up and that was bad. Okay. He doesn't appear to have any kind of crouch buttons, which is unfortunate. I don't see, it doesn't look like it's set to have any. I'm sure you could set it up. Basically all it is in the script, it's when the player presses this button, play this animation, and in some cases move the character in this direction. So it looks like we're coming up on the edge. As far as setting up attack sequences for him, that could be interesting. Again, it'd still be I fell off the tree. It would still be a whole press this button, do this type thing. But as far as the details for it, I'm not familiar with them. That's not something I've done before. I'm going to change my split a little bit better. Here we go. So as far as that goes, I don't have a lot of experience with that. But it's pretty much the extent of character controllers. The rest of it's kind of just based on what you want. So, anything else you want me to show you? All right. The rest of it, because I've got other stuff in here. I've got things like melee weapon trails, but that would still involve um, creating. Well, so that's just it. Technically, you didn't set controllers. You don't have to set controllers in here because you have these pre-made ones. And the reason CryEngine did it for you is because it was giving you a pre-built character. Um, this goes for pretty much any engine. Unless you use the pre-built character, you will have to create your own controller. The only difference I've ever seen, and this probably applies to CryEngine as well, is in UDK. Um, if you build your character to their skeleton and you rig it to their skeleton, you can use the pre-built animation structure and character controllers because it's already built to that skeleton. But that limits you on what kind of models you can build and the proportions you can build to. So it's not good to do that, and it also means that you're not limited only to those animations, but you're not familiar with it's not your rig. When you build a rig, you realize that you've built it a way you understand it, and also the only way to build on their models is to use these old Max skeletons that exist, because that's the only way you can get these skeletons out. And so they don't come pre-built with controllers, so all your animation is done via the bones, which also suck. It's much better to have a control rig set up. And the cool thing about Unity is if you work in Maya, you can actually get a plugin, which I have in here, which is why it forced that one program to open, where I can be sitting here and working on a character, and I can actually open it up in Maya, make edits, and pull it back in. I don't even have to export into special formats. I can put my Maya files straight in here and work with them straight from Maya in this engine. That wasn't true back when I first started with Unity, which is why I kind of developed a dislike for Unity, but I've come to respect it a little more. I don't know if there's anything else in particular you wish to go over. It didn't used to be. That was an all of a sudden thing. It used to be white, or kind of a grayish white. I don't know why it's black now. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to close this stream then. Oh, and well, it should have auto-recorded, so you should be able to come back and view this on this Twitch channel whenever. It should be formatted within an hour or so. So if you need to go back over any of this, that should all be there.